welcome back to the channel. I'm looking for another isolated churchyard today. I'm looking for Tranquil Church, which is dedicated to St. Bernard. I didn't know that the church existed until last night, because it's in an isolated spot. I'm on it like a car bonnet. I like visiting these isolated churches. It's well hidden. I should be able to see it from here, but I can't. I'm expecting the church door to be locked, but we'll have a look around the churchyard anyway. Okay, you can see the church now. The church seems to be dedicated to St. Bernard, but it may have been established by a little-known saint, Saint Churchyard, who may have been a female. Even though it's a very old church site, the current church was largely reconstructed in the 1800s. Just looking back in the direction that I came from. When I started the video, I was just kind of halfway up the side of that hill on the left-hand side. The churchyard is actually a lot bigger than what I was expecting. Very peaceful spot. I'm guessing it probably gets very overgrown in the summer, so I'm glad I came here in the winter. It's so peaceful here that it makes you want to talk quietly. Don't think it's going to be open. I think we can actually see inside. A fun fact about the church: there's a 3-tier pulpit inside, and in the old days the deacon or the church steward would sit at the bottom tier of the pulpit, and he would have a very long stick which he would use to wake up members of the congregation who fell asleep. If it was a man who fell asleep, he'd use the pointed part of the stick, and if it was a woman, he'd use the other side of the stick, which would have a feather attached to it. I think this is my favourite location so far since I've been making these church videos. We've got a little valley down there. Don't know how clearly you can see it. I'm filming a little bit into the sun here. In remembrance of Humphrey Roberts, Melin Carn Gywch. Melin is the Welsh word for mill, so there must have been a mill nearby, who died December 23rd, 1852 at 81 years. Also Elizabeth, the wife of the above named, the one who died October 23rd, 1859 at the age of 70. Here lies the children of John and Mary Griffith, Ysgubor Plas Llanor, but it doesn't name the children when they died or their ages. There's an interesting one here. Captain John Jones, from the ship Moel Eilian, son of Captain William Jones, Mochras Ceidio, and dear husband of Anne, daughter of G. Roberts, the one who died at Sharpness Point, November 4th, 1896, at 44 years old, and was buried here on November the 7th. I found this photograph of the ship Moyle Alien. She was involved in a major incident in 1878, although before John Jones's tenure of the vessel. The ship collided with a vessel that was travelling from Hamburg to New York. Seems that it was the other vessel who was at fault. The ship was called Pomerania, and about 50 passengers were killed on that ship. I also found this photograph which was taken on the deck of Moyle Alien in 1889, a couple of years before the death of John Jones. So I'm guessing that he would be the captain that's photographed here. There's a section here. I think I'll translate that when I get home, and I'll do a voiceover here for you. This might not be a perfect translation of the epitaph, but here goes. A man who ran a race of honour. Beneath the rough stone he lies here, diligent and godly, good until the end. He loved the straight path of truth, Jesus above, his servant, from his grave in his embrace, and will take him into the midst of his fair glory. A lonely grave here, in memory of William, son of Catherine Roberts, Cae Newydd, Awi New Field, in the village of Lleithfaen, who died April 13th, 1888, at 4 years old. Most of the graves seem to date from the mid-1800s, and the most recent one I've seen is 1948. Actually, it looks like there's some much earlier burials here as well. Jones. Can't make anything else out really, just that the date he died, it was in the year 1784. This one's in an unusual spot, right by the gate, and this tree is actually much older than the grave. Dorothy, dear bride of Robert Jones, tan y ffordd Pistyll, who died May 19th, 1871, at 34 years old. Also her husband, Robert Jones, who died September 4th, 1899, at the age of 65. I don't know, what do you think? How old is that tree, do you think? Either way, it was probably a lot smaller when the burial took place here. This is a name I haven't seen on a headstone before, in memory of Magdalene, wife of David, Cadwaladr. Tyddyn Ffynnon, that would translate to Cottage of the Well, who died July 14th, 1854, at 30 years. Also David Cadwaladr, who died November 22nd, 1890, at 69 years old. Ei henwain peragoli sydd ei hun mor dawel yw. Gonna get slated for this translation, but I'll give it a go. Their names were fragrant, but they were so quiet, and there's an exclamation mark at the end. I've never seen that before on a headstone. That was probably an awful translation. I take it from that they must have been a well-respected couple. Sun's gone into the clouds now, so you can see this little valley down there. in remembrance of Evan Parry, the one who died July 19th, 1813, at 57 years old. Also Elizabeth, wife of the above, Evan Parry, the one who died May 21st, 1834, at 74 years old. Another very old headstone here right by the church wall. Abraham Jones died January 2nd, 1787, at 68 years old. If you weren't familiar with Wales before watching my videos, probably working out by now that there's a lot of Joneses. We've been very successful at reproducing. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. It's free to do so. For anybody who's interested, I now have a channel membership as well.
Let's say it's a bit